But I think one of the things you said there, I've often wondered about. You talked about not debating, but maybe you actually said not debating in the public, in the high street, etc. Because Paul debated with the Jews, because let's understand, the Jews had a different belief system to well, Paul was a converted Jew, obviously, came to know the Messiah, and therefore he went back to the Jewish people and he debated with them. Not that they were wrong, not that, they should throw everything away, because he knew all that which was right and good that came for him, but they wanted him to have a new understanding of the Messiah. And so he would debate with them, and they would be happy to debate with them. But the very word debate is used there in Scripture. It was probably at times quite a heated exchange of views. So are you saying that should never happen, or that should only happen in the right place?
Appropriately.
Yeah.
Paul did it appropriately. He didn't do it every time. And let's not forget, the society that Paul was living in was a society that expected that. It was a society, it was a religious society. I mean, within the Jewish sects alone, you had, in the ruling council alone, you had at least 2 different sects that would argue each other out of the box, So it was a society that expected that. It was a society that was religious, much more religious than we are here. So I don't think you can equate the two. It's not the sort of society we are living in to be debating upon it. I mean, debates do go on, obviously. The Answers in Genesis guys, this is one of my bugbears about them. They're very, very good at the debates within the scientific community, where their behaviour is understood, where their behaviour, the vociferous way in which they put themselves across is understood and expected, because it's a debate arena. What they don't do very well, in my opinion, or they do it better now, but in the past, what they haven't done very well, in my opinion, is to tone that down, to bring it to Joe Public, to bring the discussion to Joe Public. And that's put Joe Public off quite a lot, because they're still using the debate, the way they debate, in a different arena, and it doesn't work there. And that's what Paul was doing. He was in that arena. We're in this arena. They're 2 different ways of doing things. And we don't need to be debating very much in the state that our nation is in. We just need to be giving what we've got without the expectation of a major debate in our streets. We're not a very religious society in that respect.
But, so are you saying that, okay, there you are, you're preaching the gospel, and somebody from a different belief system comes up and starts questioning you as to what you said, why you said, how you said it, they believe it's wrong, etc., etc. Are you going to say that, you're going to say, oh, I'm not going to answer that? Surely, when it does say as Christians that we should always be ready to have an answer, that we need to get involved in that in some way, and we do need to communicate that in some way.
Yes. Well, it's not a debate in the street. I mean, basically, what we would aim to do in that situation is to try and get that person sitting somewhere, nice and quiet. If it's confrontational, we can do without it. What we need to do is to simmer the confrontation right down, and get a place where we can sit with that person and discuss it. As we are discussing here, where the voices aren't raised, see, the picture I've got in my mind is you're there trying to proclaim the gospel in the way that you do it. Somebody's asking questions, almost haranguing you from 10 meters away. Well, I'm not going to have a discussion with somebody on the streets over a 10-meter line. That's not. I don't think that's doing anybody any good. It's certainly not going to answer any questions for that person. So I think you need to diffuse the situation, even stop preaching, even stop talking about what you're talking about. Go up to them and say, well, look, come and sit down, come and have a cup of tea. If you're a Mormon, come and have a cup of squash, whatever. But sit with the individual. Right. Stop. It doesn't need to be a big debate. Obviously, that's what some people are after. You see, they'll come over and they'll be after the debate and to belittle you and to try and do that. Well, if you just stop, you diffuse the situation and go and sit with them, they'll either be genuine and have genuine questions and will sit with you, or they'll just go away because they're not genuine and they just want to get in the way of what you're doing. You know? But I don't think a public debate or haranguing match in the middle of the street is of any use whatsoever. I think you should need to show care and concern and love for the individual as well. You know. And
so it is answering their questions. It is, in that sense, quote, debating with them, but in the right forum.
In the right way, yeah.
See, we have this interesting case going on at the moment, back from the beginning of this month, when the Church of Scotland minister, Reverend Marcy, I think is how you pronounce it, he had his radio show. And on the radio show, he'd spoken about the Christian view of the uniqueness of Christ. And this was the first time that many Muslims in Glasgow would have heard about the Christian faith. He then simply responded to questions raised by listeners in response to a Muslim speaker, Zakir Nayak. And Reverend Massey discussed the religious difference between Christianity and Islam. It was a religious debate under free speech principles, and no intemperate language was used. Now, he got sacked as a result of that, and he's taken his case to the European Court of Justice, which we won't know, obviously, the results of that. But it seems to me that that's exactly what we should be doing, and of course it's what we will be doing. And if if a Muslim rang up today, if somebody from any other belief system rang up today, one of the things that would happen is, first of all, we would want to listen to them, and secondly, we would want to respond not in any intemperate language, as it says here, but we would want to respond what we have to say. And that, to me, if that starts to be called inciting religious hatred, I mean, most of us will be in prison before the year's out, nonsense, isn't it? Because it is, surely that's what it's all about. You have a belief, and it's communicating that belief to somebody else. They can choose it, they can reject it. You're not belittling their religion, you're not hating them, you're communicating a different point of view.
Absolutely, and that's fine, isn't it?
Well, I would say so, but we're beginning to get cases where you almost feel, is that fine?
Yes.
I mean, I remember I was for a radio station a year or so back when there was a big hoo-ha because two ministers down in the West Country stopped yoga being used in their churches, or yoga couldn't be taught in church halls. And one of the people I was talking to was a very nice Hindu. And we were talking, and he was saying he felt it was wrong what they were doing, etc., etc. And I was saying to him, but Hindu comes out of yoga comes out of Hinduism. And I said to him, I said, would you allow me to come down to the local temple and preach that Jesus Christ is the way of salvation? To which, of course, he said no. And I said, I'm not offended by that. I understand that, because the people down there want to worship what you worship, want to be dedicated. Please understand that when we as Christians say no to certain things, we're not being hateful. We're not in any way going. What we are saying is we want to follow who we believe. And and maybe, as you said, if then there is a neutral place for individually sharing those things, let's do it. Now, surely that is the way that we should go, and continue in the way that we should go.
It's definitely the way we should go. There was an instance in Carmarthen, in the hospital in Carmarthen, where the authorities, the chaplaincy there, decided that the chapel of the hospital should be open to all faiths and all religions, you see, as opposed to it being a Christian chapel. Now, as far as I'm concerned, the chapel was pretty much there for people to go for some solace or to grieve or whatever, because you know somebody just died in the hospital or whatever, or just for some peace and quiet. Some of the staff, you know, it's a tough job. Some of the staff would just go there for peace and quiet, not necessarily religious people or Christian people, but it was an open door policy for people to go in there, and it was